Hello there. Welcome to another edition of A Lot of Help with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr. and I'm here to help. And I like bringing people on who are making and affecting positive change in the world. And that's a lot of them are through coaching. That's why I started this podcast almost 2 years ago. So this person is very interesting because he's a life coach through the Brave Thinking Institute, JamesAllenCoaching.com. But he also is a drummer, a man called One Arm Joey. And he does construction. So he does various things. I feel like it all ties together. So we're going to talk about that and what he does, his type of coaching, a little bit about drumming, because I want to hear about some stuff in there too, and see what he's doing. And he has a name. The first name is just like mine, so it's easy to remember. James Allen. Hi, James.
How's it going, James?
I know. Hi, James.
Hi, James. Talking to the mirror.
Like some skit. Maybe some skit we could do on that. I'm not in there.
Right.
Welcome to the show. And
thank you.
San Francisco background. He is from the Bay Area.
Yep.
I'm from the Bay Area myself, but he's from the Bay Area. I'm in LA, of course. You guys know. First of all, I want to ask you, how are you doing during this whole pandemic situation, shelter-at-home situation?
I'm doing awesome. You know, I was going to a lot of different like networking events and things like that because I love in-person contact, you know, with clients and businesses and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of switching it over to more online based, but I've been flooded with work as far as the online thing goes. Right. It's almost like a blessing. You know, I always see the good in every situation. It's kind of habit that I have and we do as coaches. And, you know, it's like I have so much work that I am doing right now, and it's all intentional work and action steps and things like that. So no, I'm super grateful for where I am and what I'm able to do with what I have.
Now, how is it up? I'm in LA County, LA, and it's getting worse down here. Actually, it's kind of crazy. But how is it up there where you are in the Bay Area?
As far as the pandemic goes,
I'm sorry, yeah, because of that.
Yeah, it's I mean, I kind of just try and stay away from the madness. It's cooled down a lot, I would say. I hear things about people like flooding the beaches. There's some people I heard the other day that were going to like the river nearby because a lot of people love to go up to the Russian River.
Yeah, Russian River.
And some of them got kicked out. Some of them were able to just hang out. So I'm not getting out. I'm just staying home, you know. And I'll go down to the grocery store, things like that. But I live on a little bit of land, so have animals and things here, so I can just hang out. Yeah. But it's not like super crazy from what I know anyway.
Yeah. Like me, I have land. I mean, that's what people ask. I haven't left the house as of this recording. 50 days I have not left my property. Not even go to the store or anything. I have stuff delivered to me. So I was like, but I have land. I have like huge yards the size of a block. I have gardens, I have trees. So I mean, so in a way I am very fortunate. I can actually, if I want to exercise, I can walk the whole length of my property and get exercise. I don't have to actually leave. So I've been very fortunate. But I'm like you. I'm like, you guys go to the beach and check it out. I will stay home and see how this all plays out. I said, I'm not going to go anywhere. I don't need to. I mean, I really don't need to.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get too sucked into the madness, you know, because where our attention goes, energy flows, and that's kind of what happens in our life. So I don't want to keep focusing on sickness. I just focus on me staying healthy, focus on my clients, doing the best that they can, and providing the best experience for my clients and whatnot. So that's just how I'm taking it.
I meditate in the mornings. Every morning I meditate. So that's my whole prayer meditation is just to not think about the sickness, the negative stuff. Just like I want to get it out of my brain. So my whole day is all about positivity and just kind of like living life within the means that I have.
Right. I just have a question. You said that you get your groceries delivered. How do you do that? Do you do like Uber Eats delivered? Do they do delivery, or how do you do it?
So they have a thing called Instacart. And so Instacart offers you 10 different stores they can go to for you.
Oh, wow.
As a shopper. And you can talk with them. And of course, I'm getting no endorsement deals. I'm just telling everybody what's going on. But they actually shop for you. You can communicate with the shopper, change things, items, whatever. It's a small fee. I think it's a delivery fee, whatever. So I've only done that 3 times over the last 50 days. I usually try to order big. Now, what I do is I try to do what I can, because I talk to my doctor friends. I have a designated table in the front of the house that I bring the stuff on. I take everything out of the boxes or bags they're in, throw those away in the garbage outside, and then I wipe down everything before I put it away. So then I wipe then I disinfect the area where it was. So it takes me like 2 hours to put away groceries, but I'm doing what I can, and I feel like it's safer than actually going to the store itself. So I've done it 3 different times. So Instacart is what I use, and it's
Instacart. Okay, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was curious about that. So right on.
I have because of my birthday week, which I was talking about off camera,
Mm-hmm.
people have sent me Venmo me money to buy me dinner or breakfast for my birthday. So it's kind of like they're
Oh,
sponsoring me for
okay.
my birthday, because normally they would take me out for my birthday. They said, normally we would take you to a restaurant and go. And I
Right.
said, well, fine. I said, send it to me. I'll order food from the restaurant we would go to, and that's supporting local economy. And then also I'll do a video going, this food is sponsored by I dropped my phone, by James Allen. And then I show the food, and I say, thank you for my birthday wish. And so I make it into some fun. And it's been very simple. People have been doing this, actually. I'm going to order some food today from restaurants from somebody. So it's been very fun. But same with that. I bring it in, take it out of their packaging, put it in my own packaging, throw that packaging out. I mean, it's a little 5-step process. I don't know if it completely works, but the doctor said I'm doing it the way I should be doing it when it comes to
Cool.
bringing stuff.
Yeah. All you can do is all you can do, right? So.
Right. If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. But I mean, I'm going to do what I can in the meantime, not to think positive that I'm thinking positive that it's working. That's how I like huge mindset shifts. I think positive that what I'm doing is working. And so far, 50 days in, I'm not sick. I mean, I've been doing fine. So
Yeah.
Something right. But I was asking you, so I mean, so who do you live with? You live alone? You have somebody you live with? Who do you live with?
So I live on a family ranch. We have a couple acres up in Pengrove, actually, which is about an hour north of San Francisco. So we just got majority of the family over here. Not everybody, but big group of the family.
So everybody, how's that been for you mentally to be around all this family during this time period?
That's cool. I mean, we all kind of have like our own little section on the property, so it's fine. You know,
Okay.
I'm pretty much been living with my girlfriend, and we never lived together before this. But
How's
yeah, she
that?
just stays.
How's that?
It's been amazing, honestly. I mean, I love relationships, and I feel like our relationship is really bonded. We've bonded a lot more, and it's got like deepened our relationship, spending this time together. And we still take time apart. Like she just went over to her parents' house like last night and stayed the night over there. And it was like, okay, like go hang out with your parents. You know, I think it's good to spend time with each other and then take time apart. You know, but we have a very just relaxed relationship, and it's been no drama. It's almost been 9 months. Actually, you know what? Today is 9 months. Today is so
Months.
she's inside right now. I'm gonna go give her
You
a
have to.
kiss and go celebrate after this.
Yes, you have to. Your 9-month
Yeah,
anniversary.
so
It's a pregnancy.
it's awesome.
That's like that. It's great. That's good. That's very good. Okay.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Being funny, folks. Just kidding.
I love it.
9 months. 9 months.
Yeah.
A gestation period or something. That's cool, because I know some people are finding out, and you probably know as a coach, are finding out a lot of things about themselves and who they live with during this whole pandemic, this whole shelter at home, safer at home situation. I mean, it's like,
Right.
I know as a life coach and organizer, professional organizer, people are going, my house doesn't work the way I thought it would, because now I'm in it all day long, having to work in it. It's different than when you just kind of go in and out and you work for 10 hours a day, come home at night and drop dead. It's different when you're in it all day long. So I'm sure in your coaching, you probably run across some of that.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, kind of going back to like what you said about like relationships and people spending time with people, like a lot of time. And we kind of this whole pandemic thing started, and I was like, "Are you sure you want to be staying here for longer periods of time?" You know, maybe we said like 30 days at the time or something like that. Of course, it went on longer. But it's been cool because like we just are very understanding. We're not judgmental or anything. I feel like what people hit like kind of roadblocks is they a lot of people don't really adapt to the unique relationship that they actually have, or not really aware of being able to adapt. And then also you're able to see like someone's true colors. But we've always been 100% honest with each other and open as to who we are since the get-go. So that's been a huge thing, you know, is just to have that openness with each other and honest communication and whatnot. So it's just kind of like we're just letting the love flow more than anything, which I'm grateful for.
Do you think because of your life coaching training that it's helped you in a relationship?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. And I've studied from another man like named Dan Bacon, who's really cool for relationships, and he's had a big influence. And I studied a lot about relationships because of my childhood, which I'm sure we'll get into today. But you know, I was thinking about like my why the other day, and really boiling it down. I just kept asking myself why to my answer of why, you know, and just kept going deeper until I couldn't think of anything else. Till I got emotional, because you want your why to make you cry. And I really think that like me getting into coaching and doing all this is because of my childhood, of where I grew up from. Because I never want my kids to have to experience what I had to experience. You know, I never want my kids to feel like they're obligated, that they have to go down a certain path, because they don't. You know, I am going to support them no matter what happens, no matter what it is they want to do, as long as it's giving them life and it's healthy, you know, then I would happily support whatever it is. But I think that's why I was really drawn to coaching and like relationships, especially because my parents didn't have a very strong relationship in that sense, more like the personal relationship, because they loved each other. I just found out later they didn't really know how to love themselves. So I'm like really obsessed with that whole relationship with, you know, the universe or God, with others, and then of course with yourself. Yeah, so relationship is a very big
Well,
thing
you
in
know,
life
everything
coaching.
begins and ends with you. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, it all begins with
Totally.
you. I mean, that's so everything we're looking for is literally looking inside. That's where it all kind of, you know, that's where it all stems. We're thinking it's external.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking it's this. We're thinking, I want father to I want father to like me. I want him to like me. And literally, it's about you liking yourself and seeking validation
Yeah.
from others. I mean, it comes back to you. And when I did coaching, I remember the first 2 days, my first 2 classes, I was transformed just from reading the material, just reading the chapters about coming, you know, coaching from center and finding your center and how to get, you know, and I was just like, wow, I never even really thought of this stuff before, kind of at this time. And it just changed my outlook on all my relationships, just everything. When I'm in relationships, my friendships, my family relationships, it changed everything. So
Right.
coaching was I thought I was doing coaching at first for other people, but it actually affected me even more so. And I'm able to be a better coach because I got fed myself, so to speak. I'm sure that's what we're going to talk about yours too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we both come from childhoods that aren't, you know, the greatest for some folks. Some folks had good childhoods. Some folks had loving parents, and everybody was together and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But some of us didn't. Can you kind of briefly tell me and tell the viewers out there, I mean, I know because I've talked to you before, but tell the viewers out there a little bit about your upbringing.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in what seemed to be a pretty awesome household, because I have a sister. Her name's Jamie, so James and Jamie, and she's 8
That
years older
kills
than
me.
I am. And James and Jamie.
That
Well,
kills
actually, just fun fact: my dad's name is Jim. His mom was Joanne. His dad was John. His brother was John. So John, Joanne, Jim, Jamie, James, and then my mom is Anne.
I'm done.
She's the
I'm
random
done.
one. She's the black sheep.
I'm done. I'm
But
done.
yeah, so there's a lot of J's in my family
I love
for
it.
sure.
I love it.
Anyway, so yeah, we had anything that we'd put on our Christmas list, we got, you know, as materially, we had everything. Like I remember waking up one Christmas and my sister and I both had brand new dirt bikes inside the living room. And like, you know, because my parents both did really well. They both had high paying jobs. My dad was in Local 38, which is the highest paying plumbing union in the world. Or one of them. It's like one of the biggest, highest paying unions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he made good money. He was a welder and a pipe fitter, did like plumbing work, that kind of stuff. And my mom worked for PG&E, and then she worked in like law firms and things like that. So they were pretty much just like these hoodlums. And then they started making money when they were older. So they were like hoodlums now that have money. So terrible combination. But they're hoodlums because they were involved with outlaw biking gangs. I'm not going to say any, but outlaw biking gangs, you know, that kind of scene. And we used to have these huge parties. So I grew up around a lot of alcohol abuse, drug abuse, and physical violence, which was kind of the dark side behind my family.
Yes.
I never got into like alcoholism or drug abuse. I experimented with things, you know, but I've never really had that gene. I feel part of me. I don't know if it skipped generation or whatever happened.
They say it happens sometimes.
Yeah, I just never had any interest.
Yeah.
I never had interest because I think that, you know, growing up with it, it was like, why would I want to be that? Why would I want to do that? So it didn't really happen for me. But yeah, my parents would fight almost every single night. My sister and I, anytime they would fight, would go into the room that we shared, just hold each other and cry because we didn't know what to do. You know, there was times where my dad had almost killed my mom. There were times my mom would almost kill my dad. And it got so bad that she ended up carrying a small revolver in her purse to get away, you know, to kind of like protect herself from him anytime that he would possibly snap. So one night when I was 8 years old, it went like that for years. I mean, when I was 5 to 8 years old, it was the absolute worst. So it was nonstop for years.
Let's
like
stop
that.
for a second. I want to stop for a second. I'm going to go there for a second.
Sure.
That's very interesting. I grew up not with bikers, but similar alcoholic kind of situation. When you look back now as an adult, now it's hindsight, you look back at it now, what are some thoughts you feel when you look back at your childhood? When you say phrases like, you know, my sister used to, I used to sit in the room and cry together. Are you taken back at that time period exactly, or are you able to look at it objectively? How do you look at it?
Like that specific part, going
Things like when you know,
into
are you
our
taken back to when they're
room.
fighting in the other
I
room?
just remember like the scene. Does it? Yeah, it's I mean it is kind of interesting. It is hindsight, and almost part of me when I tell like the stories from my childhood, it almost feels like it's just a story that I'm sharing because I'm so different now because of personal development. That's helped me so much. That's why I love it, and that's why I love teaching it because I had such a big impact in it. But my relationship with that whole childhood is just kind of, I'm grateful for it now looking back, knowing what I know and being who I am, because I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be as, clear or mature, as much of like a leader as I am now because of that rough childhood and the way, and just all the small things, the way that like my dad would kind of treat me. I mean, I heard things where he would kind of like, he'd be really hard on me, and it just kind of gave me thick skin from a really young age, and it's just built into older years.
Well, why I ask that is because a lot of people will ask me, and I don't know if you get this question, like, well, how do you put it behind you? How are you able to go back there and think and talk about it so calmly? That's why I asked you, because I feel like I tell certain things too very calmly, and they're like, how'd you get there? So I just want people to know that you can, with personal development, look objectively back at your childhood and certain things that have happened in your life. And that's kind of why I was just curious how you did that.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into like healing from past things. I'm sure I still have plenty to do, but it's not like, I talked about it a lot, which is big. A lot of people, they just don't talk about it. I would see counselors, I'd see therapists and people, or a coach, and that's super valuable. Practicing forgiveness, learning that everything that people do is either a call for love or an expression of love. And my parents were always calling for love, you know just like there's a lot of different things, and personal development is really, I mean, that's what helped me get through that, to where I can look back and it's just kind of like it was me, but it doesn't, my past doesn't define who I am now and who I'm going to be in the future.
I'm glad you
you
said
know
that, because
yeah, and
people, go ahead.
that just comes by a level of awareness, and the way we gain awareness and train that subconscious part to where we just have a natural knowing is through repetition and study and surrounding yourself with people listening to things like this.
But there are folks who'll say, but you are your past. You are everything that's been, up to this point. I always say that it's a difference between that being part of your past and you use it for, positive things now, than carrying it with you and it's your story, right?
Yeah.
It's your
Well, yeah,
identity.
there's actually a really funny story
No, please.
about a group of friends that go golfing, and there's eight of them, and they split into two foursomes, so two groups of four, and they split each like 9 holes,
Okay.
and then they're going to meet up and then go to lunch or whatever. So one group goes around, they finish up their golfing, and then they finally reach back around, and they're waiting for 20 minutes pass by, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then they're like, what's happened to the other guys? Like, why is it taking so long? We're all about the same skill set. And they see the other group coming up out of the distance, the other four, and they look like they've just been through battle. And you're like, what is happening? So they finally like come over and they're like, guys, what happened? And they're like, oh man, it was a rough game. By the second hole, we were just, hitting the ball, and then Harry had a heart attack. And from there, it was pretty much just, hit the ball, drag Harry, hit the ball, drag Harry. And it's kind of a twisted story. But people would wonder, like why would you ever play a game of golf just dragging someone around? But it's like, it's so relatable because that's what we do with ourselves. We play this game of life, and we're dragging around the dead body with us. And it's like at some point you just gotta, drop it or take care of it. But it's the same thing. And I think people, like what you said earlier, is like, you are your past, is what people say. That's up to you. If you want to be fully part of your past, then you can keep dragging that Harry around. But the Harry symbolizes like all the pain that we used to go through, or the resentment, or the limiting thoughts and things like that. So we got to drop the Harry.
I like that. I like that. I do. I like that. It's a little twisted, but I like it. I like this.
Yeah.
A little dark.
It sticks in your head.
Yeah, it's a little dark, but I like it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because I always feel like I've said the phrase, but I am all the parts of all the sum of all parts that have been me, of course. But I feel like when I've let go of things, literally, I felt lighter. When you finally let go of something, and like you do, like a literal feeling of like, ooh, my shoulders do feel a little lighter that I get that off my chest, or my head doesn't hurt as much, or those kind of. I feel like there is a link between mental and physical. There's a link in there somewhere, and I think
Absolutely.
it's very interesting. But going back to you're growing up. Your mom has a revolver. She's holding on to a little revolver. Your father, and then we're going back and forth. Your sister. What were you like as a how was it when you were a teenager? How did you get when you get to your teenage years?
Just to carry on kind of there, it got to a point when I was 8 years old that my dad, I was asleep during this, and I was in the room that I shared with my sister at the time. She was 16, I was 8.
Okay.
And my mom came home super late, and this is just me putting together pieces, being from the perception of an 8-year-old, really. But my dad had went out to try and get the keys for my mom. He was trying to go somewhere, and couldn't get the keys, and she's sitting in the passenger or in the driver's seat, excuse me. And he would kind of like get his voice all soft, like, oh yeah, I'm just, doing it. And then he would flip on her and just like almost kill her. And she just intuitively knew that she was going to either get seriously injured right now or she was going to die. And she's pinned, in the driver's seat. She can't really escape without him grabbing her no matter what. So she pulled out the gun and put it up to his head, and she's holding it straight up to right against his head. And what happened was a gunshot went straight through his cheek, right out of his chin. So an L shape right down, and he's still alive today, which is wild.
It's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many different stories. Like when you hear that, you think like, oh my God, she just straight shot him. And that's what my dad would say. Or if my mom would say like, oh, his cheek pushed my finger and that's what caused it to shoot. What I believe happened, just what makes sense to me, is that when you're in a life or death situation, it's that fight or flight, it was just a natural reaction of, I'm going to die. This is the only way that I'm going to get out, and that's what I believe, that kind of instincts just take over. So that happened. I wake up and my mom's scrambling, getting my sister and I together. My dad comes inside the house and he's just got a rag against his head, just screaming horrible things to my mom. And I'm just confused. I'm shocked, like what the hell is going on? Why is dad like bleeding out of his face? And we go into the backyard, and then there's spotlights, and then cops come around the corner. They grab my mom by the back of the head, and they smacked her face on like the trampoline we had in the back on the rim part. And I was losing it, being this kid. And then this officer came over, got my sister and I by the arm, and just yanked us out, like got the back of the cop car. And then from then we went on, and mom ended up going to jail for 14 months. It would have been 14 years, which is wild because I don't know who I'd be if she did. She's been a huge influence in my life. But my dad chose 14 months because he wanted her to be around the kids. He didn't want the kids not to have a mom for 14 years. So it was wild, and going through, like to answer your question, going through junior high, high school, the rest of it, because I was in 4th grade when that happened. So going through the rest of elementary school, junior high, high school, I saw a lot of counselors. Everybody knew my story. I still had friends and everything, but I just lacked confidence. I was not very confident at all in myself. I kind of would like play it off and pretend like I was, but really I didn't have genuine self-love and confidence. And I believe that confidence comes from self-love.
Were you
what kind of kid was I?
Were you a sports guy? Were you a stoner? Were you a skater? Were you?
Oh, dude, I was all of it.
You're all of it, okay.
Except for a skater. I tried skating for a bit, but never got into it. I always was active. I always loved getting out, going to play. I didn't play a whole lot of sports. I was too busy smoking weed, I would say. And it wasn't until about senior year that I started to be like, I'm actually going to try out football. I'm going to try baseball. I'm going to do these sports, And so I didn't really start sports until senior year. If it was me now, I would have been doing sports
the whole time. Yeah,
I would have been in it. Yeah. But I'm a different dude now. And yeah, so I got along with people. Again, I had like all different friends in different spaces. I had like some jock friends. I had some goth friends. Like I had a little bit of everybody. I would kind of just bounce around and say hi. But, I like had friends. It was kind of like a mask that I would wear. And then when I get home, I was depressed. I was angry. I was, I didn't love myself when I was on my own and inside, like you say, it's an inside out universe, truly is. And it wasn't until I was 17 years old, I read the book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And that is like my foundation still today. It's just who I am. And I fell in love with that book. I could see all the ways that could help me. So I started reading it every single day for months on end. At 17, because I wanted to just drill the information into my head. I wanted to make those agreements every day with myself. And that's what I did. And that kind of kickstarted my personal development journey.
How'd the book fall into your orbit?
My mom, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, she kept saying, James, you'd really like this book. And I was reading all these different things online about how to be more confident because, you know, I wanted to be more confident with girls and hang out with friends that were more confident than I was, you know, and I would kind of like play off confidence, but not really be confident. And yeah, then she just like threw it on my bed one day when I was 17. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll look at it. You know, she's very persistent. And then I went down and read it. And yeah, it was just the rest is
You
history kind
said
of from there.
online. God, I keep forgetting how young you are. Because I'm like online. Back when I was in high school, there was no online. I mean, there was no. I mean, we had to like go to libraries
Right.
and look at
Yeah.
encyclopedias and stuff. I was because I was thinking. So for you, because my generation didn't talk about any of this stuff. Obviously, we didn't talk about this. There was no. The new age movement just started to kind of happen in the late '80s. It started to happen. It was starting to get there. I was an adult by then. I was a young adult by then. But I remember in high school, we had counselors. They were tired. They were overworked, underpaid. They didn't really care. And I had no problem saying that. My high school was not the greatest high school. But I know that as an adult, when the new age movement started happening, then I started to find stuff. And again, it was word of mouth. It was we didn't have online. It was like someone would throw a book on your bed and go, "Oh, you should read this, James," or here.
Right.
And I go with the answer, James. James, you should read this. You should do this, and I would grab it. I would read it, and I'm a voracious reader anyway. So I would start reading these things and go, "Oh, okay." But for you had online as an option. I guess you can go online and look at things and see stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of my studying through videos as well. I mean, just getting the information is what matters. Like, I used to think like, oh, I had to be a reader. It's like you don't have to be if you don't want to. There's audiobooks, there's
Yes, there is.
videos on YouTube, there's interviews that have great information inside of them, there's podcasts. There's so much that we have at our disposal. It's just the consistency of listening to this stuff.
What kind of learner are you? Are you an auditory person? Are you a visual person? Like, what kind of learner are you? Think
Visual and then doing things. So I do a lot of videos when I'm doing coaching. I don't do a whole lot of written posts. Sometimes I do like long written posts. I know there's benefits behind it. It's kind of different. Some people learn better that way. But mostly I just enjoy doing video, but yeah.
I like video.
So yeah, that's how I, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how I got into like personal development. But then I basically carried on to construction. I just went through what my dad did, and I was helping my friend. I was coaching people before I knew that I was a coach. And I wanted to help my friends, help my family with the agreements that I was learning, the 4 simple agreements. And I was like helping them, have better results with what they were going through in their relationships or just inside their mind with a situation at work or anything. I was like, hey, this is a really great book. And I would buy people the book and then give it to them, be like, read this chapter, like think about this, because I just wanted to help people. And then I went into construction, did construction for about 4 years. It was a 5-year apprenticeship, and I left a year early. And everybody said, James, you were so close. But I could just see myself getting my, reward for finishing and just having no life. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
But I found out shortly into construction, about a year in, that I was not happy doing my work. So I ended up having a conversation with a results coach, like a Tony Robbins results coach. And he's a very confident, charismatic, very well put together guy, very financially successful as well. And I was thinking, man, I want to be like this guy. And I started looking into coaching, and I would go into go into the bathroom, like the porta potty at in construction, or the bathroom or whatever. And I like to tell people, you can tell how much you enjoy your work based off of how much time you spend in the bathroom.
Yes.
So I used to spend a lot of time in the bathroom just to get away. Not that I had a problem or anything, but just to kind of get away from work. And then I was researching on my phone what if this coaching thing could work, and let alone work for me, if it's even like a really thriving career that I could be in, because I wanted to make as much money as I was, if not more, because I like the lifestyle that it provided me.
Well, let's stop there. So
Cool.
You are a person who's in a field that can be very actually lucrative, a field where you could be busy working. Construction is something that, there's always construction somewhere. You go over to country when construction, and you decided it was not for you. Like, you realized 4 years in of the 5-year apprenticeship, you decided it's not for you.
Well, actually, I mean, it was more like a year and a half.
But you stayed.
In that I realized it wasn't for me. I just wasn't going to up and leave, like no game plan. So It wasn't until 4 years that I officially had the game plan of being the coach. But yeah, I wasn't happy. And it wasn't the money. Like, money is super important in our lives because it gives us groceries. It gives us places to stay, it gives us peace of mind. There's so much that money does. It gives us freedom. But what's equally as important is how you make the money.
But I
you
was gonna
know?
ask, so I'm gonna go back to something else though. So I want to go back
Cool.
to so 4 years in, 1.5 years in, you decide it's not for you. So between that 1.5 years, the next 2.5 years, I'm not good at math. I think it's 2.5 years, makes up 4 years. Were you working on your next steps to get out of it? Were you actually working on
Yeah.
that? So when people
I
ask,
was doing a lot of, go ahead.
when people ask,
Mhm.
I can't. I'm busy. I can't work on myself. So I want you to tell how you did that. How you kind of did that. And I want people to know that you can work on your next steps while in a situation. I hear it all the time. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. And you did it. So
Yeah.
I want you to please talk about that.
Yeah. Until you're 100% committed that this is what my life's going to be, you're always going to be, you know, wrapped up in the what ifs or in your circumstances or your paradigms that you have, your old patterns of belief. You have to be committed. And I was like, I just need to figure out a good game plan that really I can just feel confident inside about doing. And really a big part of it was just me gaining the courage. I mean, I wanted to get my certification. I want to have all my ducks in a row. With going through learning from the people how to coach and everything. And I figured while I do that, I can be working construction. And I had other things that I was working on, and construction was helping me financially with that, as far as like paying my school tuition. You know, I was building a house, which is the house that I live in on the property. It's a little like 400 square foot, awesome little pad that my girlfriend stays in
I love it.
when I'm doing work like this.
I love it.
But and I, you know, I was paying off my car and things like that. And you know, like what you're saying is that people can get wrapped up in that. They're like, oh well, I got to pay off my car and things like that. And really, I mean, you just have to be honest and realize that you have to realize when fear is talking to you. You know, fear is holding you back from actually doing the things. If you're doing everything that you can with what you have and you have a game plan, you say by this date, like this is when all my ducks will be in a row. That's when I'm going to make the decision. And it was for me, it was like I found Mary Morrissey, I went through Life Mastery Institute, which is a coaching institute that I went through. And after I got my certification, I had like pretty much all I had to do was just go out there, start doing this coaching thing. They taught me everything that I needed to know. I went out and I came back. It was the day after my training. And I had a conversation actually with someone the day before on that Sunday, because it was a Monday when I came back. And she said, is there any way that you could, you know, leave construction sooner than, because my whole thing was like, oh no, I'm going to wait till I finish my 5 years, my 5-year apprenticeship. Then I'm going to go start living my dream. And I couldn't help but that Monday, after I came back on Monday at work, I was working in Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, the big tall one.
I already
And
yes.
yeah. And I was working there. I was like up in one of the top floors, but I was by myself and I just couldn't stop thinking. It was just this natural rising feeling coming up inside me. And you notice that like, if you try and ignore the calling that you have or the dreams that you have, it starts speaking louder. It starts getting louder. It gives you
Yes.
bigger nudges. And I just couldn't, like, I had nothing I could do. I could play the music as loud as I wanted to, but this voice was speaking louder. And I just couldn't stop kicking it. I couldn't kick it. And I was just thinking, okay, well, like, you know, negotiating with my doubts and fears. Okay, what if I left in a month? What if I just did that? And I just went for this coaching thing because I have all my ducks in a row. What if I just did that? And all these doubts and fears flooded my body. And, you know, I'm like, oh, no, because then you'd miss out on this. I wrote a pros and cons list and I still have it in my phone actually, which is fun. I like to look at it. But I wrote like the pros, and it was this list of all these things like get to live your dream, get to play more shows with the band, you know, while you're making money doing the things you want, even like get started so that you can end up having a lucrative life, doing what you love and benefiting everybody. Like all these different things, you know, getting to have deeper relationships with my family as well. And then the cons were like, oh, I'd lose my weekly pay and benefits. That was the only con.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
dude, I just have to do this. So I made a decision. I kind of negotiated with my doubts and fears. And I said 3 months, because that 3 months would give me time to work as much overtime as possible. I did 1 a.m. starts. I did everything possible to save up as much money to pay off my car mainly. And then also the 3 months would finish out the semester that I had in school. So I talked with my business agent, talked with my dad, which was the worst one. That was the trip. But yeah, I just had, you know, different conversations. But the bottom line is that you just have to make the decision. You know, to decide comes from the Latin word decidere, which means to cut away from. And that's what it means to make the decision, to actually cut away from the past. Because there's so many people that are dreamers, you know, but not everybody is a doer. And I like to say, never underestimate a dreamer that takes action, because they're the ones that can change the world. You know, they're the ones who actually do the thing.
Well, you know, in my profiles, I always have I'm a doer. I tell you all the time, I'm a person, we talk about stuff like, we contacted you, we started talking, I said, let's do a show. Like, I'm not a person that procrastinates and like, well, yeah, your people should talk to my people one day. We should have lunch one day. I'm like, can we have lunch next Monday at 5? Like, and people, especially in this town, are very shocked by that. They'll have 10,000 meetings and nothing ever happens. I'm like, let's make this happen. And I kind of, just living life and then doing the coaching and everything. I've learned that. It's just like, you have to kind of go, just like go. I mean, that's the
well, I mean, you can think about the most amazing relationship in your life and be sitting on your couch playing video games or whatever, and it's never going to come into your life unless you get out or you get on the dating site or you go out and mingle and get out there. You know, it's the action coupled with the imagination, the vision. But the action, you know, I used to think that, I could just think about the thing enough and then take very little action and then it's going to come into my life. Like, no, you have to do everything you possibly can to act in the direction of the thing that you want. Just in the direction. It doesn't have to be, I used to get hung up on like, it's got to be perfect action. No, it's just anything that's in the direction of that relationship you want, of the career that you want, you know, the clients that you want to work with, anything like that. Your health, you know, it's just the consistent action, but you have to do everything that you possibly can and when you think you've done everything, there's always something more that you can do. And when you do that, then you leave the rest, like the universe does the rest, where it gives you the people, the situations, the circumstances that come in randomly out of the blue, but no one ever asks, where's the blue? You know, it's these things that come in and wrap themselves around you. And that's where the universe kind of does its play, but it has to be coupled with the action.
I agree. So, okay. So you were part of this Brave Thinking Institute, correct? And can you explain what their mission is?
What their mission is?
What is the mission of the Brave Thinking Institute? Do they have one? Their mission? Is there something?
Wow, that's actually interesting. I know they have a binder creed, but I used to never really read the binder creed. They taught me the way. I don't remember the exact like specific verbatim mission, but it's to train people, you know, the way that, because Mary Morrissey, she has trained people for, you know, over 50 years now, and it's teaching people how to be effective coaches like she has been, because she's given people like amazing results in healing their bodies and whatnot. As far as an official verbatim statement, I'm
asking for verbatim. I'm just asking, like, what is their, so why are you a part of them? What do they kind of stand for? I mean, there's all kind of, I did the Coach Training Alliance. They have their certain mission is different kinds of coaching to help with family or yourself. They have that divorce coaching, marriage coaching. I just wonder if it's all about you. Their mission is, you have the answers, we help unlock them. I'm just kind of like, just wondering what the Bravery Thinking Institute, what's their kind of overall, what's their theme or feeling?
Yeah, so the theme, the theme actually it just popped into my head. It's igniting the fire of the dream that people have.
There you go.
It doesn't matter what your dream is. And that's something that kind of shocked me, because it was interesting too, because I spoke with a lot of coaches before I went into Brave Thinking Institute or found about it. And I talked with coaches and was like, hey, I really want to like help people live a full life. You know, my vision was like a 3-part life where it's like a triangle or a tripod, you know, where each leg is like, one's your health and well-being, your spirituality, one's your relationships, the other one's like your career with like the money that you make and everything. And if you kick one out, it throws them all off. And I had this like philosophy that I came up with, and basically helping people live that like full spectrum life. And they were like, no, you have to pick like either just being a health coach or just being a relationship coach or just a career coach. And I was like, well, there's got to be some way where you can help people like with all of them. And they're like, no, you'd have to pick one. And then Life Mastery Institute told me that I could, you know, you help people live a full spectrum life, because all of that stuff, the relationships, the career, the health, it's all the same thing. And it's what's going on between our ears.
It's all connected. It
is. And it just comes down to a way that we think, feel, and take action that gets us results. So it was really cool just to learn that system. But that's like, everybody's got a dream, you know, and it's just being able to help people with all of those through the same system is pretty spectacular, because it's really opening my eyes. It opened my eyes studying with Mary and the Institute to the real power that we have as human beings, you know, and just life in general.
So why do you think you're a good coach?
Why do I think I'm a good coach? I've worked with a lot of different coaches, and I don't know if it's just because it was a group setting or what, but even still, if I was in a group setting, I just have this about me. But I really aim to make my clients feel extremely special. And I've worked with coaches. I can't speak for every coach by any means, but I've worked with coaches and haven't felt special. I just felt like another client, like another check off the list towards their goals or whatever. And I didn't work with them very long because of that. And so I really enjoy working with people one-to-one. And even if it is in a group setting, it's still making people feel important. So I would say that's one key factor. And then also the way that I learned about coaching, because again, I've worked with many coaches and they didn't coach this way, was evocative coaching. And again, I can't speak for every coach, but evocative coaching is where you ask high calibrated questions and that evokes the answer of what gives the person the most life. Instead of me saying, oh, you should go do this. You should go do this because of my own understanding of what I think is best for them. Sometimes I have suggestions, but I never say this is what you should do. I say, you're the highest authority. You make the decision. I'm just going to I like to say I throw noodles. I'm throwing noodles at the wall to see which ones stick, the wall of their mind.
I say it all the time too. No, I'm glad you said that because I was going to stop there for saying, Joe, I'm glad you said that because people always wonder, is a life coach going to tell me what to do?
No.
And what you just said is that's not the case. And also, because something really popular too, you have a choice, people out there, to choose the life coach that is right for you. Just like any other thing you pick in life, he may be a good one for you, not me. I may be a good one for you and not him. Like it depends on, you can vet your life coach. And I like to say, you said that you were with some that weren't the greatest. You left them. You didn't stay in it just because I should stay in it. Maybe it'll work out later. Like there's some that it just doesn't. You guys just don't met their style is not for you, and the way they do is not for you. Maybe there's folks that they do like their style. That they're a little detached or they feel like they're a number. Maybe they like that. But for you, I want people to know that you can choose. That's why on this show I've showcased many life coaches on here. I want to show you different kinds because. They're just as individual as you are. You are.
We're just people. We're not like
special
version of humans.
But they do make us seem like we're superheroes or like this thing. We're just regular folks who we learn. Most of us went to school and got a toolbox of tools to help you along, and we're helping ourselves. Like you say, we're helping ourselves along too at the same time.
Yeah, I think that. I'm glad that we're talking about this actually, because this is the first podcast that I've been on where we've actually talked about this, which is cool. So thank you, James.
You're welcome. James.
But yeah, great name. This is why we mesh.
Great name.
But it is true. Like you do have a choice. And I heard that I was watching a video with Les Brown. He said spend, it was something, he quoted somebody else. I can't remember exactly what the quote was, but he said if you're going to lose something, lose money. Don't lose time because you're never going to get time back. You can make money back, and coaching can be expensive. It's like, it's an investment, like a bed, a bed is something amazing. A bed, your feet, like in construction, we're on our feet all day. So we'd have to invest in like a couple $100 worth of boots, because, you want them to be comfortable because you're on your feet all day. It's like your bed, you sleep in your bed so you can wake up feeling energized. So finding a coach, like it's okay I think it's good to invest in the coaches, but like you said, you do have to find the person that really meshes with you because it's completely a relationship based business. You don't just like hire a life coach. I mean, you can just to get going and figure out if that really worked for you or not. But at most all coaches do a complimentary session. And what you should be looking for if you're considering getting a coach is, does it give me life? Working with this person, does this person make me feel uplifted and encouraged? And like, do they influence me to actually take the actions that I need to take? Because if they don't, then it's not going to serve you, that coach. But that coach could serve somebody else.
Exactly. And also, you don't want to be dreading your sessions. You're like, oh, well, I got to meet with James again today. I got to meet with him today. Okay, I guess I'll just pull it together. It's like, you don't want to do that. You want to be kind of excited to meet your coach and go, okay, James, I'm ready to go today. Let's work on this. And how can I handle this? And then you're like, great, okay. And you're like, let's work on this. I kind of think. But folks just really, I know that people don't like to talk about this, but it really is, you're the buyer, so to speak. You can pick what fruit you want to eat. I mean, that's kind of that's what it is. I mean, you don't have to stick with just one thing and go, I was told this person is good, I got to stick with them. If your gut is telling you this is not working,
I've invested in like big mentors too. And I felt that was right in the beginning. And then later on, I found out this just isn't for me. It's not giving me life. And that the more things that we can do that give us life, on this road, this little spiritual journey that we're on towards greater results of whatever kind, paying attention to things that give you life and uplift you, that is what's important. And as soon as it stops uplifting you, like you said, you're not looking forward to doing the calls anymore. It's okay to, you can fire your coach. I mean, you can, but I think the best way is always just to be honest and be like, hey, like it doesn't really resonate with me anymore. It doesn't give me life. Maybe it is a limiting pattern. Who knows what it is? But I've even worked with like big coaches, like maybe you work with Tony Robbins or something like that. And everybody's like, oh, it's Tony Robbins though. It's like, okay, well, it's just like Tony Robbins in particular for me, I've been to his events. It did not resonate with me, but it's Tony Robbins, it's like, he still has really good information for sure. I just wouldn't choose him as being like my in particular mentor,
I'm a person who just picks and chooses. Like I like Gary Vee, I like Tony Robbins, I like Les Brown. I mean, there's people I just follow. I'm like Oprah or whatever. I don't follow any of them religiously. I just pick things that they talk about that I like. Yeah. And I think that's how life can be. You can like some Tony Robbins stuff and not follow him, fully and go into whatever he's doing. You can say, well, that I like what he talks about. This strain of thing he talks about. I like that. And it's okay to pick and choose. It's your life. I say you're the editor of your life. I'm very Hollywood, so I'm like, this is your movie. You're the editor of your life, so you can edit it however you want to. It's up to you. I mean, it's up to you to create, the story. So it's kind of crazy. Last thing before we start to wrap, we can talk for 20 years, and podcasts don't like that, of course.
Sure.
They don't listen to a 5-hour podcast. You just have to come on again.
Unless it's Joe Rogan.
That's just Joe Rogan. It's right. But not me. They don't listen to me that long. I just want to briefly talk about your drummer in a band, One Arm Joey. So I want to talk about, what does drumming bring to you as a person?
Joy. Absolute joy. It's always been a part when I write out a vision for my life, it's like I can't forget about the music. And I met with so many people that were like, oh, I used to be a drummer. And I was like, well, what happened? And they're like, oh, I had kids, I got busy, things happen. And it's like, does it still give you life? And they're like, oh yeah, man, it makes me so happy to, play on stages and things like that. It's like, make the time. That's what I always say. It's like, if it gives you life, then make the time, because it's so short, this amount of time. But yeah, drumming, it gives me life. Absolutely.
Okay. So one thing I want to ask is, how do your hands look from drumming?
My hands?
Yeah, your hands.
Well, I do CrossFit. I do CrossFit as well, and my hands get beat up. Being in construction too, they were way worse when I was in construction, be cracking and whatnot. But I have weird calluses like inside my thumb or right in here, from holding the stick.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I've always had strong hands, I would say.
How long have you been drumming?
Oh man, I think it's been about 12 or 13 years.
How'd you start?
Rock band, actually. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of the video game Rock.
I remember it.
Yeah, so I used to go over to my friend's house and ride dirt bikes, and he had gotten Rock Band. We used to play like Guitar Hero because that came out first.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a guitarist actually for my whole life up until then. And I was like, man, I just want to like be on stages, be a total rock star, playing guitar and everything. And then I would always go for the guitar when he got Rock Band because it had the full like drum set, microphone, everything. And he would play the drums. And then one day he's like, James, like, you want to try the drums? Because I kind of like to play guitar. I was like, yeah, sure. So I started playing the drums, and I don't remember exactly the whole transition of what really sparked me to get obsessed with it, but I just couldn't stop. I feel like, with music, people think that like you kind of choose the instrument, but I feel like the instrument chooses you more than anything. And drums chose me because I always wanted to be a guitarist. I was like, man, if I could pick anything, it would be be the front man. And I still kind of am the front man. I'm in a 3-piece band, but I'm like, I like the 3-piece because we're all kind of like iconic. It's not like just the lead singer and then like, who the hell is the drummer?
You're Genesis. You're Phil Collins, and they're Mike and Mechanics. Okay, got it.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
Everybody has their own thing, and we're also together. And Phil Collins sings and drums or whatever. Yeah. He's in front. So there you go.
So yeah, I played Rock Band, and then I just loved it. I started doing like 5 gold stars, which means that you don't miss any notes on the majority of the songs on like the expert mode. And my dad came over to pick me up. I was a lot younger, and his my friend's dad was there, and he's like, hey, this kid's getting like pretty good at these drums. We have a kit that we don't use anymore. Do you guys want to, buy the kit? We're trying to get rid of it. So it was like $200, got a red maple Ludwig kit. And it was a nice kit, usually like 500 or even a couple thousand. No, I think it was a couple thousand, that kit, but then we got it for like $200. So I just did that. And then I'd start playing. We had like a big stereo system at the house. So I would just blast like Aerosmith or different songs like Pink by Aerosmith. And I just blast it in headphones, and I would just like start playing to it. I'm like, okay, this sounds like this. This sounds like this. But I feel like guitar or Rock Band gave me like the fundamentals of movement for the drums, you know? I feel like that's the drums and then the microphone are the two things that you can actually benefit from in using Rock Band, because it taught me like how to kind of keep tempo, how to have the coordination with my hands and my foot, and that just spilled in. So I never really like read music or anything. I actually played a couple in high school. I played a couple plays like Grease and then Legally Blonde were a couple plays. And my friend who's the lead singer in the band, we've been together since day one, and he was playing the guitar, and everybody would be reading music except for me because I didn't know how to read the music. So I would just get the audios, and then I would play the audios and play my drums to the audios and just learn it. So I would be able, it was cool because I could sit there and then I could just watch the play and just play the drums, you know, and have fun. And everybody else is like looking at their music. And at intermission, people would come over and be like, hey, I know, because I don't know how. They're like, what? Everybody else is reading music except for you.
That's very cool, actually.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Do you play guitar at all?
No, but, you know, the three instruments that I really enjoy is guitar, piano, and drums, obviously, and then singing. So I guess 4 instruments.
You see my keyboard right there. My keyboard's there.
Yeah, I actually have a little keyboard at the house too, but I play a little, like dabble on the piano, know a couple songs, and then guitar is the one that I still have not officially put time into yet, but I will. That and like ukulele too, are 2 instruments I really want to learn.
That's very cool though. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I always admire drummers. Drummers are the backbeat of a band. I mean, that's the thing. They set the tone. They literally set the beat of the band. It's like, and you got to keep it going. I've always worked the whole hands thing, and I mean, I just think the holding the sticks a certain way. I'm very impressed with drummers. I like drummers. I think drummers are cool. I don't know.
I also sing in the band. I do harmonies while I drum, and people say that really makes me stand out, you know, because a lot of drummers don't do any singing. So
like I said, Phil Collins.
Yeah.
And, you know, here's a little nugget, folks out there. I mean, I know this. Karen Carpenter was the drummer of the Carpenters when it first started, and they pushed her to sing actually up front. So she's actually a drummer.
Oh, really?
All things. I'm like the Carpenter of all the groups, the Carpenters. They showed in early videos. You see her playing the drums and singing the songs. And then they said, you should go out front. You're to the voice of an angel, obviously. They put her out front. So she was a drummer. So it's kind of interesting and saying. So you're right. Cool. There's not that many. There's not that many that do that. They do one or the other. Yeah. Do you have music on anywhere that people can listen to? Or
yeah, I mean, you can find One Armed Joey. You just type us into the search bar. Our name is so weird that we literally pop up on everything. So just One Armed Joey. The hardest thing that people have is getting our name right. So I'm going to say it one more time. One Armed Joey, not One Armed Jerry or One Armed Susie, not One Arm Joey. It's One Armed Joey.
I love
it. If you type that in, you get the name right. You can find us anywhere. We're on Google Images. We're the first thing that pops up. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. Yeah, all of that stuff.
Okay. I'll make sure I follow you guys on Spotify. Follow people on Spotify, folks. All us musicians, follow us all on Spotify.
Yep.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It's awesome.
You'll have to come back again. We'll talk some more coaching stuff when you're back on.
Sure.
Again. Yeah. So tell folks where they can find you and your coaching and everything online.
So you can find me on Facebook. It can be a little challenging because my name is almost like John Smith. It's James Allen.
Yeah, it does. It's
it's kind of ridiculous. But my photograph, my profile picture is just me in a gray blazer with a black background and a beautiful smile.
It's a nice picture. It's a nice picture.
And my Instagram handle is I am the real James Allen, because the real James Allen was taken and so was James Allen. So I said, okay, I am the real James Allen.
I am the real James Allen, folks.
Yeah, got some sass behind it. But yeah, anyway, so that's the Instagram. And then always just go on to jamesallencoaching.com, and that is where you can find everything. That's the big hub.
Now I'll post those on our Facebook page. Yeah. A lot of help with James Lott Jr. Go ahead and follow and like that page. This podcast, the audio version, hello podcast listeners, is out there for everybody to listen to on all streaming services, which are like from Spotify to Pandora to iHeartRadio. Google, Apple, Speaker.com. It's everywhere. So when you're there, you find it, like and follow it, and pass it on to people you think should hear this. And then the video version, of course, is on my YouTube channel, JLJ Media. Be so kind and subscribe to me. And you can see all my videos with other coaches and people in the health and wellness community and other musicians. They're also on there too. I have my whole thing is set up really nice in the play. I have a little playlist for everything. So there's a lot of help playlist on there. Go ahead and follow that and see other episodes. And again, share this episode with people you think might need to hear this. Anyone looking for a life coach, contact me, and I can actually get in touch with him if you need to, or contact him directly. We'll get you to him if you're thinking, I need a life coach. I need somebody. He seems really cool.
And then I'll refer you to James if I feel it's a better fit.
Thank you, James and James. We'll just go back and forth.
Which one do you want?
Jameses. Who do you want? We have them like doing Jameses. And where can you follow me? We're all James Lott Jr.'s are sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. I made it very simple for you. Follow me on TikTok. I'm a star on there apparently. I don't know what's going on. But I have a life coaching series called A Lot to Think About. Yes, I use my last name and everything. And everybody,
that's awesome.
I do. I use I pun my last name out all the time. I'm James Lott Jr. This is a lot of help. James Allen. Everyone, please, while you can, stay safe and sane during this strange time period. We'll talk to you next time.